deporting immigrants, but they're the ones who pick the fruits and vegetables upon which the Florida economy depends. But I have a solution. We're changing the law so children can go to work in the fields. That's the end of an empire. That's what happens. And no one says, boo. 14-year-olds will now be eligible to work until I think 9 at night. I mean, all kinds of things that the law forbade for children before. We're going to have child labor, and it's going to be good because you see, you can pay the children as little as you got away with paying those immigrants. Jesus Christ. How many symptoms do you want to see before you go to the doctor? How many things are you going to face before you realize you got a different problem than the one you thought you had?
Economic policy proposals you're not going to want to ignore. Most people think of Mar-a-Lago as U.S. President Trump's Florida home, but increasingly in financial markets, Mar-a-Lago means something else. The Mar-a-Lago Accord. It's a series of policy proposals put forward by Stephen Miran, the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. The goal of the Accord is to support U.S. manufacturing, and if it is implemented, it could mark the biggest change in global bond and currency markets that we've seen since the 1980s. I'm Rebecca Patterson, a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations. I've also been a global investor and economic researcher for nearly 30 years. The Mar-a-Lago Accord can really be thought of as 5 basic steps. Step 1 is tariffs, helping manufacturers in the U.S. by making them more competitive compared to imports. That's well underway. Step 2 is combining trade and tariffs with defense. If foreign countries want to stay under the U.S. security umbrella, they have to pay for it, maybe with tariffs, with major investments in the U.S., or other actions. Step 3 is keeping the dollar the global reserve currency, but weakening it at the same time. President Trump knows that a global reserve currency gives the United States geopolitical leverage. At the same time, a weaker dollar can support exports, and that helps manufacturing. So how to get there? One idea in the Mar-a-Lago Accord is to have foreign governments switch some of its current treasury holdings into much longer duration bonds. Now, step 4 is a fix if step 3 can't move forward, and that's basically the United States acting unilaterally to weaken the dollar, directly buying foreign currencies, or perhaps considering something like a tax on foreign capital inflows to the United States. Step 5 is the Federal Reserve, really supporting these policies and intervening if needed. First, of course, is the bond market. Swapping treasury holdings into less liquid, much longer term bonds could create volatility that would ripple through financial markets and potentially slow economic growth. Similarly with the dollar, back in 1985, when countries came together at the Plaza Accord to weaken the dollar, it went too far. It was disorderly, and they had to intervene again in 1987 to stabilize things. We could see a repeat of that. And then finally, more structurally, my worry would be that if these policies are pursued, it could slow foreign investment into the United States. It could raise interest rates in a sustained way that would affect borrowing costs for households and businesses. And potentially, it could raise questions about the Federal Reserve's independence. Both political parties today agree on supporting the U.S. manufacturing sector, and all politicians know that policies come with costs and benefits. I think the question with the Mar-a-Lago Accord is whether this set of policies is going to have enough benefits to justify the potential costs. The Mar-a-Lago Accord is a set.
Good morning. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown. This is the morning show for Black Press USA.
Peace and love. I'm Niele, your co-host. And come on in. We're going to jump through some headlines that are impacting the Black experience, and we're going to uplift our culture. So that news, it always starts dark, but we lighten it up by the end of the show.
Darkness. This immigration thing is just so ridiculous. And I see where Orange says he's over immigration. He saw it with Indian women calling the Black woman an N-word. And here's the thing: I was leaning that way too, over it in a sense. But you can't be over it, because here's the thing. What it really is that ultimately they're going to come after us. And that is the bottom line. That's where it's going. That's why you can't
Mhm.
ignore it. Forget
Right.
about saying over it, but that's why you can't ignore it. They coming after us. You heard the conversation between Trump and the president from El Salvador. You heard the crazy White House folks, the press secretary, and talking about this. The guy in Maryland, they said because he was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat, it showed that he is a member of MS-13 or a gang. This guy has no record to speak of. He's a family man from all we know.
Mhm.
And we're gonna, we're gonna get into that too, because they are refusing the Supreme Court's order. And
Mhm.
it kills me, Niele, that I'm watching different headlines, right? And every day I see a headline like this. And this is from Mediaite. Is Trump defying is Trump defying the Supreme Court? The U.S. is on the brink of a constitutional crisis. It keeps seeing that same headline from all news organizations. Folks, they're not on the brink. The U.S. is not on the brink of a constitutional crisis. The U.S. is in a constitutional crisis. The president is defying all court orders, including his self-appointed Supreme Court.
Yeah, we're in a hostile takeover, and the to your point, we have to be concerned about what's happening with immigration reform, because we are next. And I also read a headline that I am still digesting and researching about how the Trump administration is quietly talking about giving countries like Ireland money to come over here. So what they're trying to do is, dilute people of color and then bring more white folks over. And this sounds much in line with Project 2025 and everything that they're doing. So I mean, they're doing some deep, ugly, evil, sinister stuff over there in the White House, just right around the corner from where we are. And so we have to be concerned now about immigration. We have to be
Well,
concerned. I saw also on the news this morning that some of our lawmakers are trying to go over to El Salvador to assess what's happening with Mr. Garcia. I saw that the judge said that she put 2 weeks, on getting to the bottom of where Mr. Garcia is and bringing him home. And I think we all should be paying attention to this, because Donald Trump and his clan are going to try to ship us away on the country that we built and bring more white folks over here. That's what they're
um, yeah, the judge's 2 weeks is hollow. They made a ruling, folks. This is again goes back to that Supreme Court ruling that the president is above the law. There's nothing you can do to a
But there
sitting
is stuff
president.
that we can do, Stacy. There is
No,
stuff.
no, I'm talking about the law. From the law standpoint, they have ruled that
Mhm,
he is above the law, and
mhm.
he's showing that he's above the law. And the only thing that folks on the ground can do is protest. That's it. What else can we do?
Place that Trump sent Kilmar Garcia to is basically an extermination camp, but they do the exterminations more slowly. Crystal Ball made a video about it where she quoted an article that said this was a place to dispose of people without formally applying the death penalty. Prisoners in there have no recreation, no education, no visits, nothing to do. They're just waiting to die. And some people think that they actually incinerate people in there. There's a crazy deep dive by Total Hypocrisy that looks at whether or not there are actually incineration centers on site. El Salvador says once you go into CCOT, you don't come out. No one comes out of there. Sounds like an extermination camp to me. This is surely one way to deal with a gang problem, but we are sending people there who have had no due process, who are not even criminals at all. Surely that's wrong. I mean, the place is so harsh. I think we could make a case that this is too harsh for even the crimes that we're talking about. However, this is completely insane to send people who have not been convicted of anything to any place, much less an extermination camp. We are sending unconvicted people to extermination camps. If that doesn't frighten you, you don't have a soul. The place that Trump
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing, what I'm saying, you know, Neil, yeah, you have the protest and things of that nature. The only thing the only remedy is for Republicans in Congress to grow a backbone, to grow a spine.
I don't think so. I totally disagree.
Okay.
We have a midterm election that is coming up in 2026. We have local elections. We probably need to go over who won the elections yesterday. Local elections, but we have a midterm that's coming up. And
You think we're gonna have a
folks get
midterm?
out, if folks get out there, yeah, we're gonna have a midterm. Yes, I am. I
You
believe that.
even Jasmine Crockett is doubting whether there will be
Well,
a
because
midterm.
she's trying to put fire under people to let them
No,
know.
she's
But
speaking from what she sees, right?
she's putting fire under people. We have a midterm and we have to operate as if we have a midterm until they tell us
Mhm.
otherwise. So we have a midterm that's coming up next year, which if people don't like what's happening, then they can vote against the current Republican that have us hostage, that are running Congress as well as the executive branch, and that could be the beginning of change. So there are things that
Mhm.
that people can do. There are.
Well, and so let's say there is a midterm next year, because I highly doubt there will be, but let's say there is. Um, and let's say Democrats win the House. Where does that get them? Donald Trump is operating and will continue to operate above the law. Democrats can pass a bill. What this is showing us is that they can pass a bill. They can if they get the House and Senate and pass a bill, that doesn't mean he's going to honor it.
But
He's
that is
showing that.
moving in it, but it moves us in a direction of forward instead of the state that we're in now. And to just say that there is nothing or nothing that anybody can do, I mean, I think our ancestors would be mad at even hearing that. Because wait, let me just finish.
I am.
Because
I am.
if we look at slavery, there was nothing that the slaves could do. But guess what? We move forward. If you look at the black codes, if you look at the civil rights movement and discrimination and racism and all of that, there was nothing we could do then because white folks had power and we still did something. So there is always something that we can do. But the bad thing is when we say we can't and we do nothing.
Well, what I'm saying is that I just don't see it. I don't see a midterm happening, or at least a midterm that we are used to. And I also, even if it does happen, what I'm saying is that you have something that you hadn't had before. Someone who is totally above the law, operating above the law,
White folks
ignoring.
always operated above the law. They always
We've
did.
never had
They've always done
a
it.
president who defied the Supreme Court, defied judges, let alone the Supreme Court. We've never had that before. Because if we did, then the Civil Rights Act would not have been passed. Other legislation, voting rights would never have been passed if we had somebody who was operating and was giving carte blanche. This judge that you said you got 2 weeks, or what? Trump is sitting there like, or what? Or what?
So what are you
So it's
saying?
up
They should
to
just do nothing. So the judges
no.
should
I
just say he
that's
did it. Let's
see,
just not do
that's
nothing.
not what I'm saying.
Let's not set a precedent. Let's not set a precedent. Let's not put it on record. Let's just do nothing.
Okay, well, putting it on record is one thing. Here's what I'm saying. I didn't say let's not do nothing, that people shouldn't do. Do what you need. You feel like you need to do. Yes. However, it still is on the backs of lawmakers, Congress and Senate, to say enough is enough. Because if they said enough is enough, then they can put it into this today. They can go on the Hill right now and put an end to this. But it's too many of them, Democrats and Republicans, who are complicit in this and are enjoying this. That's the problem. I'm not saying people shouldn't do anything. I'm saying that the judge's orders doesn't mean anything to Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but to my point, there is something that we can do, so
Okay.
don't feel hopeless, and white folks have always been like Donald Trump. I'll say it again. He is his ancestors' wildest dreams, and so are all them other white folks that are on the hill trying to oppress black and people of color. So white folks have always been who they are. They've always been in the backwoods of Mississippi, Alabama, and in progressive states, plotting, and they've always done this to us. But guess what? For somehow, some way, we've always made a way. And if we stay in that mindset that we can make this change, it will happen, and maybe this is a reminder that we all have a part to play in this democracy. It's not up to our grandparents. It's not up to the woke folks. It's up to everybody to participate in democracy, because
Yeah.
democracy is fought every day. It's not given, it's fought every day.
Who's living under the democracy?
I mean, our democracy is fragile, and it's breaking, but I mean, it's still there. It needs it needs to be restored. It's better. It's still better than some other countries.
I don't know.
I
I was
bet
with a
you. I
group.
bet you. I put it this way. I bet you wouldn't leave the United States right now.
Oh, given the opportunity,
Oh, you
believe
would leave?
me. Oh, I would hightail it out of here a long time ago. Um, I was with a group of people from Great Britain yesterday, and it was so interesting listening to these folks, and they all white folks, and they were saying how much harm that Trump has done to Europe, how vulnerable he's left Europe to Russia, um, and how folks over there throughout Europe are losing their minds. Like, how could the United States, how could the people let this happen? And they're letting this guy run amok. And these are and a couple of them are self-described conservatives, and they can't believe it. Yes, Dr. Joni, this is
We
what they were
can't.
saying.
We'll
He's
tell them we
destroying the
can't
world.
believe. We'll tell them we can't believe it either. Okay, they're not the only ones that can't believe it. We can't either. But I will say, to your point, I was being funny, but yeah, if I had the opportunity, I would definitely like to have either dual citizenship or be a world traveler, because I think that I mean, a world citizen, because I have
Mhm.
been some places, but to be a world citizen, I think that's the one thing that I have taken away from this experience, is that we put so much love in this country when it's not really ours. We've always had to
We're
fight for
divorced
it.
then.
So I do want to travel, but I mean, I still
Mhm,
do love my country. I love my neighbors. I love
mhm.
the citizens of America. I love
Yeah.
the story of us in America. And so
We are the battered spouse of America. We That's what we are. I see all of the smart ones, the doctors, Dr. Nicole, Dr. Marilyn, Dr. Joni.
I
They
love it.
all are they all are chiming in. Dr. Nicole is like, I agree, midterms will happen, and there's still hope. It's not over yet. We all
That's
just
right.
need to make the right choices.
That's right.
Next year would be nice if the current congressman would do it now, but that seems unlikely. Dr. Joni says it's up to us. We can't wait for
Mhm.
Congress. They just left for spring break. There's lots for
That's
us
right.
to do. We have to keep doing it. And Dr. Marilyn says we can't give up. That's not what we do.
See,
Um,
see, with 92%, pull up, have my back. We know what needs to happen. Come on, 92, 92. We can do this. 92%.
that
See, that's the
92%, they need to
92%.
lead a y'all need to lead a what's it, a Marcus Garvey type thing. Get everybody out of here.
No, we're going to stay and we're going to take back what we have been striving to maintain, and we're going to do it our way. That's what I love. Like right now, we line dancing, we look at the TV a little bit. We be like, we go back, mind our business, taking a trip, you know, but it's gonna
Not
come a
impressed
point.
by that. I'm gonna tell you right
You're-
now, I'm not impressed by that.
You don't have to be. It ain't for you.
No,
It's not for you. Ain't nobody trying to impress you.
that's true. Mike B says you're the Afro optimist and I'm the Afro pessimist.
That's fine. That's fine. I was talking to the 92% right now anyway, because you guys are being cynical, bah humbug, whatever. Where my
Bah
92
humbug,
at?
where did that come from? Look at these. Look at these folks. Look at these folks. They all getting deported. They all getting deported.
Yeah, and that's the funny part. That is the funny part about it. He will deport them too. We saw what happened to Zoe Lee from Chicago. She got
I love it.
invited to the White House for Black History Month, and
They
they
were
put
waiting
her
for
in
her.
jail.
They were waiting on her.
So I mean, bless their hearts.
Oh
Bless their
God.
hearts.
Where's the? I'm trying to find this meme that Greer says Orangey put up. I don't see it. But nonetheless, it's right there, she said. Right where? Oh, that's okay. I see. He's like he turned the TV off.
Turn the
Listen,
TV off.
So speaking of pasty,
Mhm.
Joe Biden reared his he woke up yesterday and then look, he used the term, I'm gonna quote him. He said I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. I don't need to say any bit more than on his speech yesterday, and he's apparently supposed to give another speech today. But
Mhm.
colored,
Well,
I don't
we
hear him
were
yet.
just talking about this, and chat, let us know. We were talking about how we in this country been identified and how we like to be identified now, because at one point we were called colored, and we were okay. We were called Negro. I mean, it's on my birth certificate for my mother, Negro. We were called Negro. And then, we evolved to Black, and then to African American. Some people don't want to be called African American. They want to be called Black. I'm reading this book called Rhapsody in Harlem, and it's about, it's a really good book. I recommend you read it. It's about W.E.B. Du Bois's lover. And she worked at the Crisis, but they were talking about how she didn't like to be called. What struck me is that she didn't like to be called Black, because she said, my skin color is not Black. I'm not Black. And so what do you like to be called? Is it African American? Is it Black? I know we've evolved from colored and Negro.
Dare somebody put in the chat they want to be called colored.
But what do you like to be called, Black or African American, or neither? Let us know. And we can
Let us
keep
know.
going, Tracy.
But you know that that's a Inferno 932 said Black. Yeah, that's a good question. Just call me Mandingo. The world recognizes me. Orange. She says, "Come on, give us an answer here, Mandingo."
Mandingo. Okay, that's your. Some people like pronouns. I don't know. And do you like pronouns? How about that?
Oh God, listen. The question is Black, African American, colored, or something else.
Pronouns are not involved. They can't get in. They can't
They're
get in
not
the
involved.
conversation.
No. I listen, folks. If they want to use pronouns, they can. I have no objection. I just don't. I don't understand them, especially.
Yeah,
I don't want to get into it. I don't want.
I think
Dr.
that,
Marilyn
but
says she wants to be recognized by her name, not. I guess not by race
see,
or color.
she
Yeah.
said neither. None of it. None
She
of the
said name.
above.
She said my name. That I'm adding the rest, but she said my name. But we talked a little bit about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was deported for essentially wearing a Chicago Bulls hat, which is interesting because the city of Chicago, y'all better renounce your Bulls then. But here's the thing: the Maryland police officer who arrested him and attested to his so-called gang affiliation, was subsequently suspended from the force for a serious transgression. You know what that was? Giving confidential information about a case to a sex worker, according to the New Republic. This officer, apparently a senior detective on Abrego Garcia's case in 2019, is named Ivan Mendez, according to information provided by Abrego Garcia's lawyer. And so this cop eventually pled guilty to these crimes and received probation. He pled guilty to falsifying and lying about his arrest and this confidential informant, or information he was giving out. This is the
Mhm.
that they relied on to say that Mr. Garcia was a gang member, a cop without any credibility whatsoever, who has been exposed as a corrupt cop.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
terrible.
it is. That's horrific.
This man, and you know, there's a lot of questions as to whether or not Abrego Garcia is even alive, and
Really.
sad.
That is hard, and
Yeah.
that's scary because all I think about is, we're next.
Well,
We
and
are
Greer points
next.
out that the cop Mendez, how do you do that to your own? And that's, see, I think so. I mentioned the British folks that I talked to yesterday, and one of the things we talked about was a civil war. Um, and I think that that's more than anything else, more than any election, is what you're probably going to see that is going to forever change. The Americans are forever changed already, but this is going to change the trajectory in one direction or another. You're going to see folks not, and it's not black versus white per se. This is going to be basically taking up arms. There's folks who are MAGA folks right now who are upset with MAGA, right? It's going to be a lot of infight. It's going to be all out war. I don't even know if civil war, yes, because it is going to be domestics, but it's going to be chaos.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm really and I've thought about that too. And I think about, the National Guard and our military. And a lot of those people aren't down with Donald Trump. And so I wonder, because Donald Trump and with the things that they're doing in that White House that we talked about earlier, the conversations that are being had, Donald Trump is meeting with private militia companies, private military companies. And so we don't know what he already has lined down the pikes. We know that by 2028, a Republican Congress member has already put on the table to have private security companies man our TSA so they can control who's
Mhm.
coming in and out of the country. He's having conversations with private militias. He's having conversations with privatized prisons known as GEO and Core Civic. So we don't know how they play into the El Salvador prison system that they're trying to create over there or expand over there. And so we don't know what a civil war would look like because we don't know what our military, because a lot of those people in the military now are just like us and they might not be down. So to your point, Stacy, we don't know what a civil war is going to look like because there could very well be a ton of people, including the KKK, because remember, they're part of it too. Stephen
Mhm.
Miller's in the White House and he and Steve, they all know the KKK and all them other people down south. So we don't know. And then once again, Black folks, we are against the Second Amendment right, a very large portion of us. And so to your point, Stacy, we don't know what a civil rights mayhem is going to look like because it's just so many different factors happening that we know about and that we don't know about. So it is scary to think about.
Yeah, on another note, Al Sharpton met yesterday with Pepsi Cola Company, the
Mhm.
leadership there, the company's at the company's global headquarters up in Purchase, New York, and he called the conversations. They met for more than an hour, and it included the chairman of Pepsi, and the CEO of Pepsi North America. And they responded to Sharpton, who gave them a week or two, I think it was a 2-week notice, speaking of a deadline to meet. And so Sharpton went with his folks from the National Action Network, and he called it a constructive conversation. He said we agreed to follow up meetings within the next few days, and after that, continued dialogue. So this is about Pepsi stepping away from its DE&I commitment, and we know that, of course, we've been talking a lot about the Target Fast and the People's Action Network or whatever. What is it called? The People's Council or something, who has a boycott going on as well. And now Sharpton has gone on to meet with his group, NAN, PepsiCo. And I think that, and I'll let you take it, but I think that this is a self-aggrandizing, self-centered move on the part of Al Sharpton, because I say that because why wasn't others, the NAACP, the NNPA, the Urban League, why wasn't others included in this meeting?
That's a good question, Stacy. Very good question.
You can't tell me, look, you can't tell me that whatever went on in that meeting, it wasn't just about Al Sharpton. It wasn't just about Nan. And at this moment, it has to be about everybody.
Sure.
You've mentioned several times that Jamal Bryant, folks should be communicating with him, because he's really stepped out there and started this whole Target Fast thing, and it's really, really crushing Target.
It's making an impact.
It's making an impact. And for Sharpton to go at it alone at this juncture, and I know folks have looked at Sharpton as a leader for some time, and that he's been doing this type of thing for some time, but we're in a different time.
Well,
And I think that others should have been called in on this.
Well, at this point, we have to let him do what he does, and he's gonna be on an island by himself. We have decided that we're going to support Jamal Bryant. I know Jamal Bryant is working with the State of the People, which is over there with Angela Rye, and Bishop Leah Daltrey. There's a movement that is happening, and so if Sharpton wants to be on an isolated, if he wants to be self-serving, or just do things and want Nan to lead that, let's let him do it. But to those that are paying attention, the State of the People is going on a end of spring summer tour all across the country. You have some of the brightest multi-generational leaders in this country going from state to state, not just talking the talk. It's a 2-day summit, and they have symposiums and things, and then the second day is a call to action. And so if you want to be a part of the movement that is mobilizing and that is working together, you have Jamal Bryant included in that, who is running the Target Fast. Then pay attention to that, and sometimes you just kind of have to let people do what they do. We've seen this before with Reverend Al Sharpton. We do appreciate his contributions to the Black movement, but right now it's not time to be isolated. It is time to work together. The NAACP is a part of State of the Nation, State of the Power Tour. So is the Urban League. So all of the organizations that you did talk about, Stacy, they are participating with State of the People, State of the Power People Tour. And so if you want to be a part of the movement, folks, this is where you can start. And they have a website too.
Yeah, because all I'm saying is, if Pepsi cuts Al Sharpton a $10 million check, who's that benefiting?
Yeah.
It's just, and look, they cut him a, whatever check, and don't honor their DE&I commitment, who's that benefiting?
But see, here we have here a nationwide call to action. And you know, this is where the movement is headed, right here, state of the people. And, and so, you know, Al Sharpton, let him do that over there. But right now, like I said, you have all of the organizations that you talked about, NAACP, Urban League, they're a part of State of the People Power Tour. Jamal Bryant leading the Target Fast, a part of State of the People tour. All those people are over here.
Who's collaborating with the Black Press?
So we are a part of State of the People. We covered and aired the 24-hour marathon that they
Yeah, I know.
did opposite of the State of the Union that Trump did. So we are a part of it.
We covered it. Doesn't make us a part of it.
We're a part of it.
Okay.
I'll email Angela Rye this after we get off and let her know that we
Okay.
will be a part of it.
Okay. I'm just
We
asking.
had
That's all.
we had Bishop Daughtry on. We could be a part of it.
Okay.
Mark
I'm
Thompson.
just asking.
Mark
I'm just
Thompson, he was
I'm
one of the organizers of
I'm
that
I'm
night.
just asking.
And I think too, instead of us asking, maybe we should be proactive and be a part, you know, bring our
I'm
folding
not
chair at the table.
I don't run or own the Black Press. I'm an employee.
But you were asking the question and I was giving you the facts. We are a part of it. But now to
Okay.
be a part of something is like you could have a membership with the NAACP, but if you don't activate your membership and participate, it's just a membership. So if that's something like that's what I'm saying. I'm a part of the Black Press. I'm talking about it. If you want
Mhm.
to be a part of it, you have to participate.
Okay. So my covering it means I'm part of it.
You're helping amplify. Yeah, you're helping
I'm
amplify.
just asking the question. Just asking
Yeah,
the
I mean,
question.
you're helping amplify. Now, you know how much your involvement is up to you.
Well, I think that certainly my concern is, let me put it this way. My concern is that and talking about Al Sharpton, my concern is that folks collaborate. Whether they're collaborating or not is my concern, and whether it's because the civil rights movement would not have been successful without the Black Press. Jim Crow, coming out of Jim Crow, coming out of Reconstruction, Black Wall Street, none of that would have been would have resonated without the Black Press. You need the Black Press, and this idea that folks be doing stuff, Black folks, Black organizations, and not involving the Black Press is a slap in the face of the Black Press, but a slap in the face of history, a slap in the face of Black history, a slap in the face of all those who knew the importance and value of the Black Press. So you
But you're
gotta
saying
include the
that,
Black
but you're
Press.
saying that, and we've been at the table from its inception.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. The Black
But
Press needs to be
all I'm
included.
saying is that does not apply to this because we've been at the
Okay.
table from the inception of it.
Well, listen, I want to eat from the table too. Give me some collard greens and some, you know,
Okay, so
mac
if
and
you
cheese.
want what are you bringing? Because it's a potluck.
Let me tell you something. I provide. I had a publisher call me yesterday, asking about the
That
Al
was
Sharpton
cute. I
story.
just had to jump in there and say that was cute, girl. I love that one. What do you bring it to the potluck? Just say it again.
Bring it
No,
in.
you said you wanted some collard greens in it. What are you going to bring to the potluck?
Listen, who's putting that information out for the most part? I'm looking in the mirror. There you go. That's not enough. Ain't nothing else I can give you. Nothing else I can give you.
Okay.
Like he said, look, Orangey said World War II without the Black Press is just propaganda.
But you're saying, but that's not the case in this situation. So
I didn't say it was. I just asked, you
Okay.
answered. Look, she getting tired of me, y'all. Um, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said he would be willing to meet with President Trump, but offered some of his strongest criticisms yet of Trump during a news conference on Tuesday. Johnson was asked whether he'd be willing to, quote, kiss the ring and meet with the Trump administration to stop $3.5 billion in federal funds from being held back from Chicago. He said, outside of well, let's let him speak.
President to terrorists? No, what I'm saying is trying to hold people hostage and manipulating them to succumb to his will. That is how terrorists behave. We're not going to negotiate with terrorists.
What are your thoughts on having a meeting with the Trump administration to try and, for lack of a better phrase, kiss the ring to be able to stop the federal funds from being held back from the city of Chicago?
Well, I will just say, outside of a 2016, Cubs World Series ring, I'm not kissing a ring, okay? The President of the United States of America has an open invitation to the 5th floor of the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago. And I'm going to just be bold here for a second. There's a long history.
He's not playing, is he?
Political leaders talking to people who may not see us as first class, trying to force your will to break the spirit of working people in order to have a conversation. That's terrorism. We're not going to negotiate with terrorists. We're going to negotiate on behalf of working people in this city. And that's what American people want us to do. There's a reason why he's losing support. Now, he doesn't care. This president refuses to see our humanity. And his response to this economy is to give tax breaks and benefits to the ultra rich while the rest of us are struggling. You got to show up for working people in this city, in this country, and not for the oligarchs and the ultra rich. That's what has destroyed our economy, is that we have the ultra rich who continue.
Well, your thoughts on Mayor Brandon there?
My thoughts are he's here in DC, and I can't wait for us to head on over to the Black Mayors Conference so we could try to get him on Let It Be Known. That's what I see. That's what I hear.
Not playing around.
Yeah,
I like his stand up, his courage. Of course, you got to have a little courage, but the fact that he said we're not negotiating with terrorists, that to me was extremely powerful when he said that.
Yeah, I mean, I like I say, all the politics are going to start at a local level now, and if this is what you're talking about earlier about nothing's gonna happen, it starts local. It starts with individuals like him standing up, speaking out. That's why I think this conference of Black mayors is going to be so interesting and powerful, because it's going to start with them and it's going to rise up to the federal government. And so I know that Danny, we had her on the show before, who is a Flip Chicago, who is a Black MAGA. She was on the Hill last week. I guess the Republicans had some committee hearings about sanctuary cities. And she did testify everything was contrary to what the mayor was saying. But like I said, it's gonna all start local.
She testifying. What do you mean? Explain that.
So they have committee hearings about different subject matters. As
Right,
you know this.
right.
And so she testified at how Chicago being a sanctuary city is not helpful and it's detrimental, and it doesn't help the plight of Black folks in Chicago. So that's
She's
what
out
she
of her
testified
mind.
about.
She's out of her mind. And that's not anyway. Come on. Sanctuary cities are detrimental to Black folks. Does she even know what a sanctuary city is? What will the purpose of a sanctuary city?
That's what she went to testify about.
Come on, son.
These people they kill me. They absolutely kill me. It's like that video y'all showed with the Black folks over there with the MAGA hats praying for Trump. It
takes all
anyway,
kinds.
It takes all kinds. Yeah, right. Exactly. A toilet bowl takes different types of tissue. So,
Takes all kinds.
oh my gosh. Anyway. Oh no, she put the orangey meme up there. All right. So did we even get into Joe Biden's appearance? You know what's going on. Now they're trying to charge Letitia James with mortgage fraud. Did you see that?
I mean, we knew it was coming. I mean, they're coming for anybody that is against the Trump administration. They're coming, you know. So I'm pretty sure that she's prepared for the unknown. You don't with Trump, you don't know how he's coming, but you know he's coming.
They're trying to get her in a similar way. It's a slightly different, but in a similar way that they took down Marilyn Mosby. Letitia James allegedly bought a house in Virginia in 2023 and put on the application that it would be her primary residence when she's a New York resident. She has to be a New York resident because she's in New York, according to what the conservatives are saying. But it's just, again, Joe Biden left folks like her out to dry.
Right.
All these pardons and preemptive pardons that he was handing out like candy to certain folks, he overlooked, and you can't tell me it wasn't intentional. All of these Black women, Letitia James, Marilyn Mosby,
Fonnie Willis,
yeah, Black women prosecutors. What was the deal with that? And he gonna come out yesterday talking about colored folks.
Yeah.
You know, I truly believe, and I think you and I had this conversation, and we did have this conversation. We talked about it at the museum, in fact, that Biden, you know, we gave him credit for some of the things that he did while in office with, you know, especially with, you know, Black folks.
Right.
You know, the first Black women Supreme Court judge, and, you know, Black women vice president, a Black staff, this, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But where did that come from? Did it come from, you know, this heart, you know, having a compassionate heart, or no, it came from him wanting to right the wrongs that he's committed all his career against Black folks. And that it'd be like Trump on his deathbed, you know, apologizing to the Central Park Five, to the exonerated five. You know, it's like, listen, but not really mean it. You know, it's come on.
Yeah. It's white privilege at its highest degree. Sometimes we don't even see it until after the fact. We don't see it till after the fact because we're just so excited that we have access to the White House, that we have, you know, these nice privileges.
There you go.
Yeah. But it's really his conscience eating up at him. And
right,
it's
that's
not
what I'm
really,
trying to say.
It's not really, you know, moving the needle for Black folks.
Yeah, and it got, you know, that's why I use the term a lot, having ears tickle. It's got to be more than just access. You know, you got to that proverbial seat at the table. You know, own that table. Access, you be the gatekeeper. You know, come on, give me a break. Anyway, you got some quickies.
Yeah. The first one I want to say before we jump into those specifically, have you saw the headline where Donald Trump has these gold pendants made with his face on it? And this story is circulating around, guys, that he's requiring his cabinet to wear, instead of, you know, most politicians, presidents, Congress members, they wear the American flag, or they wear the circle congressional pin of the year, or, you know, of their term. Well, he's created these gold pins. I hope Greer can find what one looks like. And he's allegedly, there it is right there. He's allegedly requiring his cabinet, starting with his cabinet, to wear it. And when the White House was asked about it, they said it's not mandatory, but they're not going to stop anybody from wearing them. But first of all, who created them? Who created them? And why are some of his administration wearing them?
How do you spell dictator?
So and to that point, if you think that's not the direction that he's headed in, I think the pen says enough.
Mm-mm. It is real. It's
No flag, no American flag. That used to be the American flag. No American flag, just the pen.
made in China. I like that.
That's what they're saying. Probably so. Well, not anymore.
I agree with what Patricia Jackson is saying. She says, white privilege, we should try and call it something else. It needs a new name. I get it. I 100%. As soon as I read what she wrote, I understood. Because when we
What else
say
did she
that,
write? Is that all she said, or did she say
she says
something
we
else?
need to call it something else. White privilege, not sure what, but we need a new name. And when you think about it, um, it kind of it kind of makes it sound like it's something good or something positive. When it's it's white supremacy, it's racism, it's
Mhm.
whatever. I get what she's saying. Some might not agree, but I get it, Patricia. If nobody else agrees or get it, I get it and I agree. So
I mean, I
there you
get
have
it. I get it. I get it. I get both sides of it though, because there is a privilege that they have that we don't. And I look at it from that way. But then to your to the point, yeah, then and when it's not, it's white supremacy. It's white, it's racism.
it.
It's white racist.
Nancy
Um,
Wall says call it whiteness. And
whiteness.
Inferno 932 says white rage, white hate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
I still don't see the answers to your question. I saw one or two people answer your question.
Oh, if they
Uh,
identify as black or African American
yeah, yeah. How
or
would they
black
prefer to be?
American,
Yeah. How would they prefer to be identified? I want to see some more
or
answers.
some people may want to just be identified as American.
That's true. That's true. All
Or
right.
okay, so let's jump into some quickies. So the Diddy trial is approaching, and
Ooh.
all eyes are going to be headed to New York.
Isn't
That
he trying to
I
delay it now?
No, he's not. No, and
Okay.
that's what some of the folks are saying, is that he should actually push the trial back to give his defense team more time to prepare, because a lot of people are saying that he could beat this. But he has hired Young Thug's lawyer Brian Steele to join his legal team. And so
That guy, let me tell you something. That dude right there, he
Mhm.
really impressed me during the Young Thug trial. I think Diddy's making the right choice here.
And so he's hired him. Steele has petitioned to be a part of the team. And Diddy, word on the street is Diddy is looking for a strong black woman defense attorney, which is not a bad idea. I
But
mean,
you usually see that.
especially when it comes to cross-examining Cassie, because we know Cassie is going to testify. And so you probably would want a woman, preferably a black woman, to
So
cross-examine her.
yeah, you do, and that's like you said, it's pretty standard. It's going to be a. I'm pretty sure the prosecutors will have a black man or a black person on their team. Um, Sometimes what gets under my skin, and I saw this in the Bill Cosby trial, with the one of the prosecutors was a black woman who just went way overboard in her behavior. And I'm like, is she on some sort of drugs or something? Because the way, I mean, she was just so overly, even when she wasn't questioning or cross-examining someone, she's sitting there and she's just fidgeting and going, just doing stuff and making herself more visible to everybody. And when she cross-examined people, she was louder than everyone else. She was showing off. It was just horrible. And of course, her white husband walks in. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But I think that whether you agree with Diddy or not, whether you think he's guilty or not, I think he's a troublesome individual. He's a criminal, but this is a great move for him.
And so since we're talking about prisons in New York and people in them, well, he's actually in jail. He's not in prison yet. He has been convicted, but there's a shortage of prison guards. And it may lead to early releases of inmates serving time in New York prisons. And this comes after the state fired over 2,000 correction officers for going on an illegal strike. And so the question is that good, or should you have fired them if you didn't have the capacity to man the prisons? Or is this a good thing? Because probably the 2,000 prisoners are probably lower level. And so, you know, this is just like a toss up, a coin toss up. What does the chat think though about that? What do you think, Stacy?
Let me tell you something. I just I don't even know what to think about that, because correction corrections, when you say corrections and corrections officers, it can never be good for Black folks. So yes, so,
But 2,000? I mean, the governor
it's
2,000? That's wild.
it's extremely wild. It's I don't know what the governor was thinking, but like you said, if you're gonna do that, you better be sure that you are prepared to cover this. And
Right.
apparently, it sounds like it anyway that she wasn't prepared. So, by the
Yeah.
way, there's a couple of more responses to your question. Somebody said, American Patricia Jackson said she wants to be identified as American human. Inferno 932 quoting James Brown, "I'm Black and I'm proud." Of course, we know Mandingo.
Yeah.
Inferno 932, when I was talking about the woman prosecutor in the Cosby case, he said, "You better go easy, bro. Sounds like you're saying loud Black woman." No, I wasn't necessarily saying. I just think she was so obnoxious. That's all. Maybe I should have just said that. She was extremely obnoxious, and she couldn't help herself. So,
And so there's another story I don't have in the script, Greer, but I thought it was important to bring up. Michael Mahadi was executed by firing squad in South Carolina. Now, this is the second inmate that was murdered by firing squad, and it was by choice. And I just thought that was very interesting. There are 5 states: South Carolina, Mississippi, Utah, Oklahoma, and Idaho, who give inmates the option to die by lethal injection, electrocution, or firing squad. I just thought that was wild. And that just falls so in line with what Donald Trump, wants to see.
yeah.
But this was Michael's choice. He said he didn't want the long, drawn out, possibilities of lethal injection, and he didn't want to fry. And so they said that they put a bag over his head and they aimed towards his heart.
With the firing squad, and it's supposedly one real bullet, right? It's like 3 officers, one real bullet, and none of the officers know who has the real bullet. So it's just, and it's either way. Look, I don't understand too with the lethal injection. So when you go for an operation, they give you, there's an injection that knocks you out. Why don't they do that with the lethal injection before they give the actual lethal one? Do it a little bit more humanely. Let the person be totally out, and then you put the lethal one in.
That's a good suggestion.
A lot of these folks who are on death row and are being executed, they've committed some heinous crimes, which is why they're on death row. And folks don't tend to have any feelings toward them. So, but I think that you don't want to be as barbaric as they may have been. In some cases, you don't care, but
Right.
but I just think for the person who has to do the execution, for the individuals who are responsible to carry out those orders, they may have some feelings about it. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe in the death penalty, period. But then I always say I never know until, somebody in my personal inner circle is something heinous is done by a criminal to someone that I love. So I right now I don't support the death penalty, but you never know because you never know what life is going to throw at you. I'll just leave it at that.
Rich says she thinks the governor should be the one who. I think that's what she's saying. The governor should be the one who does the execution.
Mm. So that he can see how it feels. Okay. Mm. Oh.
She says, I don't. So what are you saying? I need to know what you're saying. She says, I think the
She
governor
says
should
she
do it, but then
doesn't believe in the death penalty.
okay.
Yeah.
But she believes that the governor should do it.
No. What I'm
Okay.
saying is I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't think that the government should be implementing, I believe in street justice sometimes, but that's another thing. But
So what was your post? You said, I think the
She said
governor
that's for government.
should
GOV
do
is
it.
government. Yeah.
I
She
don't
meant
think the government should be doing. I don't think it should be a government I don't believe in the death penalty, period.
Okay. Okay.
I don't believe in the death penalty because one, we know that our system is too flawed, and
Right.
And so for that to be law, I just don't believe that it's right.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't. Now I used to tell the babysitter I don't believe in calling the police, but that's a different. I'm from that.
Oh boy. So in other words, mess around and find out.
Right.
She's Dr. Marilyn's right. They euthanize pets for more humanity. Orange G says, I'm not a big fan of the death penalty because it is not issued out fairly. And
Right.
that's the
I agree.
problem.
That's the problem.
That's the biggest problem.
That's the
Gina
biggest
Stewart is
problem.
asking, what happened to the Black trivia, Greer? We didn't get our trivia question, is what Gina's, she's like, I want some trivia. So there you go.
Right. We're gonna get back on. We've been on assignment this week, and so we've kind of, been a little out of order, but we're getting it back together. Don't forget, this week is Black Maternal Health Week.
Yes, it is.
And so we are uplifting the plight of Black women and birthing in this country and the disparities of it. And so today I just wanted to highlight on that note that Mississippi is the epicenter of the crisis, and Mississippi has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the nation. Now, according to the CDC, the state's maternal mortality rate was 43 deaths per 100,000. That's more than any other. And the rate significantly exceeds the national average and highlights the dire situation for expected mothers in the state. And this is why we have this week to keep at forefront and in front of all the other things that we have: sickle cell, diabetes. We're always at the top of the charts, but motherhood for Black women is one of them. And so we just want to keep that at the forefront of the week.
Yeah.
And so moving on, let's lighten it up. We're going to get a little lighter. Remember on Martin, Stacy, when Tommy Davis played Varnell Hill? Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So BET Plus has ordered 8 episodes of a show based around Tommy Davison's character Varnell Hill. And it's going to be executive produced by Bentley Evans, who was the co-creator and executive producer of Martin. And so I know a lot of folks online were really excited about this because there's nothing like a good old sitcom. I don't think sitcoms do it the way they used to do it back in the day with shows like Martin and Living Single and A Different World. We just saw Netflix ordered or they're rebooting A Different World to be based around Dwayne and Whitley's character.
Their kids.
So
they're kids.
Yeah, they're kids. And so we're just seeing a resurgence of old shows and the extension and expansion of them, which is pretty exciting for a Gen Xer like myself.
I think that they are trying to, as you said, we don't see sitcoms like we used to. And I think part of this is trying to recreate that, trying to bring that back. And the other thing is let's face it, just run out of ideas. Folks have
Right.
run out of ideas.
Right. And a couple, Donald Trump has always been connected to pop culture. A couple headlines about him. He's declined to attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I was telling you in Greer, I feel so bad for the current president because he's the first Black openly gay male president of the organization. And not only will he not have the president, but he can't even have the comedian there to roast the president who won't be there. And so now it's just your average church Sunday scholarship luncheon at dinner time.
Yeah, Eugene Daniels is the president. She's talking about the White House Correspondents Association. To be honest, and I don't know Eugene like that. I mean, I see him around the White House once in a while, but I don't think it bothers him that the president's not showing up. I think it probably bothers him more that they had to cancel the comedian.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's all of the above because this is the moment, that this dinner is based around, what makes it pop. It used to be on my bucket list, but what makes this dinner pop and what makes everybody, this is probably one of the nights where people really tune in to see C-SPAN because you get to watch the red carpet, you get to see it all. But Donald Trump has just taken all of the excitement out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner this year.
I look at it, it's the opposite. I'm more excited because he's not going to be there.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people would have loved to see a comedian take what Donald Trump is doing and roast his ass. Everybody wants to see that.
Yeah,
moment.
and we don't need him there for it though.
But we
That's
need
all
the
I'm
comedian.
saying.
That's what I'm saying. They've taken
Yeah.
all of it away from him. They've taken the comedian. And this is
Mhm.
his historic moment. And if you know Eugene, I mean, last year he was dressed to the gods. I mean, I'm pretty sure when he won the seat to be the president, he had already picked out his outfit for the gala, and now it's just like, who's gonna watch it now?
They are the White House has taken away all of the authority of the White House Correspondents Association, and
Ironically, when Black leadership.
Yeah, and they were going to do it regardless. Let me tell you, in this case, they were going to do it regardless. This guy hates. It's not that he hates the media, because I think it's a misnomer to say Trump hates the media. He wants to control the media, and I just think that it doesn't matter to a lot of folks that Trump is not coming. As I said, it's more that comedian that. Because that's the highlight, right? It is the highlight. Yeah, they get these scholarships and awards. It's like a snooze fest. So whatever.
So Columbus Chris, the director of Home Alone 2, is saying that he regrets including Donald Trump in a cameo in the movie, and he's now saying that he wants to take it out, but he's afraid of being deported. But he wants it removed, So,
Yeah.
And in other news, Charlie Wilson is taking a note from the Queens who are currently about to hit tour. And I'm talking about Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Stephanie Mills. Well, the men have decided to go on a cookout tour, R&B cookout tour. So you have Charlie Wilson, who is going to anchor this cookout. So he's going to be on the grill, okay? And then you have Babyface, El DeBarge, KC, and JoJo. Now this looks fun.
Have fun. That should be nice.
That looks fun. I mean, I love me some Charlie Wilson. He kind of is reminding me now of like Frankie Beverly in the latter part of his touring career. Not a lot of movement, more put the mic out to the audience and you sing the song and I'll just give you a hum. But nonetheless, you still wanted to put on your all white outfit. And I don't care if we had to sing every song, we were singing it for Frankie. And I'm sure we'll do the same for Charlie Wilson.
All right. Anything else going on?
And those are your quick headlines for today.
Yeah, the quickies. All right. So who is having their black card revoked today. None other than Philip Anthony Mitchell, the pastor of one of Atlanta's fastest growing churches, is under fire for his sermon, urging his congregants to be, quote, submittal to government authority. Mitchell, who leads the 2819 church, said that includes respecting law enforcement and telling parents to, quote, stop blaming white cops for the killing of Black kids. He says, instead, teach your Black children to be obedient to authority. I don't care if most of you are Black, he said. We need to teach our children to not fight against authority, not fight against the cops. His comments, of course, drew so much criticism on social media. Someone says it's people like him who kept us enslaved for so long.
And I don't care if most of y'all are Black. You need to teach your children to obey authority. We need to teach our sons and daughters to obey authority. We need to teach our children to not fight against authority, not fight against cops, not rebel. Be model citizens. Stop being rebellious towards authority. Be submitted to laws and ordinances. Watch. The Lord said, give back to Caesar what belongs to him. That is, be submitted to governmental authority. You know why you're looking at me like that? Because you don't read. And an Italian cop drove right by me, and I locked eyes with the cop, and we stared at each other, and he drove by. And in that moment, I hear the voice of my mom and my father. Son, obey authority. In that moment, with that Glock pressed to my head, I got to make a decision. Either my ego is going to be strong, God, or my submission to authority is going to be stronger than my ego.
Ahmaud Arbery, what did he do wrong? What did Ahmaud Arbery do wrong?
And those weren't even cops, though.
Right.
Those were cops.
But it's like I understand. The only thing I could say is you want to respect authority. You want to be respectful. But this idea that he comes up there and uses that platform to go on that rant like that, and essentially blaming George Floyd, you name them, all the Black folks have been killed by cops,
right,
is absolute. You know, can't you spend your time with your congregation on something more productive? At the very least, you know, if you want to use the Bible, give them some verses that and straight from the Bible. Don't give them your thoughts. How about giving them the Bible's thoughts, if that's, you know, what you want to do? But this guy just went in on something that, for the most part, well, for a large part, we have no control over. We have no control over racist cops.
right.
And he just, I just don't understand how folks listen to the stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I wouldn't want him blessing or saying the grace at my cookout for sure.
Right. Well, it's like, to Greer's point, Black folks are not killed for the most part because they did not, because they failed to submit to authority. You know, I just listen. I guess less is more in this case. Just take his Black card from him.
Yeah. He just can't. He can't come, and he can't. Damn sure can't say grace.
She even took that away from him. I don't blame you.
I mean, because a pastor has a lot of power.
I don't blame you.
They have a lot of power, and so for him to be telling his sheep that to be submissive, and you could even be submissive to the police, and they still, if you this color, they still will.
I think, yeah, he could have
abused you and everything else.
Yeah, he could have, if he wanted to use his time on this thing. He perhaps maybe discuss what the do's and don'ts if you're stopped by law enforcement. Well, whatever. Greer says in Gary Chambers' words, quote, at a time when our history is being erased, our jobs are being lost, and our civil rights, especially voting rights, are under attack, it's critical that Black faith leaders speak with clarity and care. Our people deserve truth, protection, and justice. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a part of the State of the People tour as well. Gary Chambers
Oh,
out of
oh,
Lowndes
Gary
County.
Chambers. I was going to say that guy. That.
No, Gary Chambers is a part of the State of the People tour.
Oh, okay, okay. Because you threw me for a minute. Mitchell, he's part of it.
No, Gary Chambers out of
Gary
Louisiana.
Chambers. Gary Chambers is something else, but Gary, if you're watching, you said you were coming on. We haven't heard from you, Gary Chambers. So, one way of showing that you're proud to be Black is to come on the Black Press.
That's right.
There you go. Dr. Marilyn says, take the black card, suspend it until further notice. So there you have it. Good morning, Memphis Jokes. All right, so some Black history moments. On this date in 1862, slavery officially ended in Washington, D.C. Took a while.
Okay. You got another one for us?
I got another one for you. On this date in 1963, days after being jailed in Birmingham, Alabama for a series of anti-segregation protests, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. penned a response to his critics on some scraps of paper. This open letter became known as his letter from a Birmingham jail, and it offered a forceful defense of the protest campaign. It is now regarded as one of the greatest texts of the American Civil Rights Movement. So the letter from Birmingham jail. There you go.
All right. And then I have one of today, a Black history moment of today. 19-year-old Dominique Malanga makes history as the youngest player ever drafted to the WNBA. So kudos to Dominique. She's going to Seattle. She's going to Seattle.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And you still didn't tell folks where your girl, Paige, and the rest of them, what happened with them on draft night.
Oh, I'm working to try to get Sherry. She is the commentator for sports an analyst and commentator for Essence Magazine. I wanted her to come and break it down, but we just been kind of moving so much because I don't want to mess it up. But I saw Sherry. She was able to interview Paige. She interviewed Kiki from USC. So she has a lot of tea. And so hopefully we can get her on Friday to come kind of sum up the WNBA draft and talk to us about what happened, what she saw, and just give us all the tidbits. I don't want to give it away because I don't want to mess it up. A lot of juicy stuff coming out of WNBA. But this young lady is the youngest ever. So she made Black history this week, and we love it. Black history today.
It's like I said, where were we yesterday? And I told you, I told Greer, we have to teach you how to be a little petty, because this was your opportunity to say to me, she went number one. Paige went number one. We had that big discussion on Monday, and I was telling you that she was the presumptive number one pick. And you was like, the Associated Press said this and that. And you had an opportunity that you just let walk on by. And I'm going to let you know, that's very nice of you, but I'm not letting opportunity slip by.
Well, we know that, Stacy. And see, for a Black woman, it's our facial expression. We ain't got to say nothing. You just look at our face. And we can be petty. Okay? Sometimes it's not in words. You got to read the room and read.
See, Inferno 932 said the same thing. He said, I was waiting for her also. See?
Oh, to say Paige. No, I'm actually
just disappointing folks.
No, I'm actually trying to get you somebody that was there so that they can really break it down. Because I don't have to be petty. I knew Paige was gonna be number one. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew it. Mm-hmm. But moving on, what's the paper of the week? The paper of the week.
It is the Savannah Herald, Savannah's Black voice for over 79 years. It was founded in 1945 and has been Savannah's leading African American newspaper for over 7 decades. Established after the Second World War, the paper quickly grew during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. The Savannah Herald has a proud history of advocating for the rights and advancement of the city's Black community. So it is the Savannah Herald. You can go check out the Savannah Herald on their website.
Isn't the Black Press Conference in Savannah this year? Is it Savannah?
Yes,
Oh,
Savannah,
okay.
Georgia. And I'm still trying to decide how I'm getting down there.
You mean by train or plane?
Yeah, exactly. Jason from the office sent the hotel bookings yesterday.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of like hold off on those plane reservations.
Why you don't want to go?
I'm going. Yes, I want to go, and I'm gonna go, but I just haven't determined the mode of transportation yet. Planes keep falling out the sky under this
Oh,
administration.
well, hey, I gotta
I
fly
was
back
trying
to
to
the
think.
West
I want
Coast,
to.
and
I think I want to be. Huh?
I gotta fly back to the West Coast today. So let's not talk
Oh
about
yeah.
planes flying falling out the sky. Okay.
Yours ain't going nowhere. You're gonna have a delay wherever you get, and then you're gonna get home safely.
No, I have a direct flight. So
You got a direct flight?
yeah, get home.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are you in first class?
I don't know. That's a Greer question.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna ask Greer.
Yeah,
Safe
well,
travels,
first of all, look,
Inferno.
don't worry about my business. Worry about your plane ticket to Savannah.
I'm telling you, it may not be a plane ticket.
You
Jason
might
is
take the
on
train.
hold. I mean, Jason and I have had we have been in discussions about it, and he's like, just Jason, Mr. Stacy, just let me know. I got the Mr. Stacy stuff out.
It's nothing
Um,
wrong with a train ride, though. Watch the countryside. Good old America.
the problem is, I don't know if Amtrak's Acela train goes down there, and I don't want to get on one
Mm,
of them Carolinian beat up trains and sit,
mm,
in regular class, cramped up and stuff like that.
mm.
So
Okay.
that's my dilemma.
Mm,
That's my dilemma, and I'm definitely not driving.
mm. Well, while Stacy figures out how he's going to get to Savannah, in the meantime, you guys can go check out the Savannah Herald. And for the latest in Black news that's happening 24/7, you can visit BlackPressUSA.com. Stacy, what do you have on the wire today? What are you talking about today on the wire?
A little bit of everything, including we kind of touched on it a little bit, but Al Sharpton's visit with Pepsi, as well as it's a story that I worked on, and it is the headline might be a little provocative, and I know who loved the headline, and which is it means a great deal to me because my headlines, when I create the headlines, they generally are like they're not good. Greer can tell you that.
Mm.
But Claudette Perry sent a note back, loving the headline, which is Confederates whistle Dixie tunes and Black MAGA applauds. So
That is
figure out
provocative.
that story. Yeah. So check that out. And of course, there is a story that I have also on BlackPressUSA.com about the African American Mayors Association get together this week in DC. And also, you talked about maternal health. Black babies are still dying in America. Let it happen. There's a story about that as well. So check it out. April Ryan has a story on Black Press USA right now. Her most recent is calls for transparency for Trump meeting on the mega El Salvador prison. So you can check her out. I know Lauren's got a couple things going on too, Lauren Burke. So check out BlackPressUSA.com for all
And then
of the latest.
yeah. And then don't forget too, Stacy, to mention that Black Press USA also has stories from different editors and writers from all across the United States from the Black papers. So if you just want to know what's happening in Black America, from the LA Sentinel to the Chicago Defender to the Four Times in Houston, all you have to do is go to BlackPressUSA.com.
And Greer informs that our girl Dawn Montgomery has a few articles coming up on BlackPressUSA.com. So check it out. I'm interested in seeing what is Dawn talking about. What's she writing about?
Right.
What's she covering today? So check out Black Press USA. There's so much good stuff. It's a really good team. We got us here with Greer, and then you got April and Lauren and Jason making things go at the main office. Inferno's asking whether we are on Substack. I'm on Substack, but I don't.
I don't
I haven't
understand
really. Well, yeah, I'm still figuring it out too. Inferno, that's a great question. I know April talks about it. Lauren talks about it a lot. Lauren Burke is on Substack as well. So check it out. Totally Randy's got some great videos. In fact, Totally Randy's latest video, as the sun now comes in, it's really good. It's well, not to say that her other work isn't good, but it's really good. So
Are you talking about her Media Monday?
her Media Monday.
Yeah.
And she gives a great rundown of some things. So check it out. Greer's like, she's on Substack, but haven't put anything up yet. So stay tuned. I wonder what Greer's gonna put up on Substack.
Right.
You got any guesses?
Yeah.
You gotta watch out.
But if you don't
I
have,
knocked on her.
but if you don't have Substack, we're also on IG, TikTok, and of course the favorite of baby boomers and Gen Xers and some millennials, Facebook.
I real quick, I knocked on Greer's door this morning. You know what she said? What are you doing here? I was done. I said, "Oh, okay. I thought we were meeting." She says, "After the show." So anyway, don't be knocking on Greer's door. She's one of those, you can't, a certain time in the morning, certain time at night, you can't knock on her door. So there you go. We will see you tomorrow.